Welcome to the deep dive. So glad you could join us. Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're diving into something pretty fascinating, actually. It's a topic that sparked, centuries of discussion, and let's be honest, maybe quite a bit of misunderstanding, too.
It really has. It touches on some deep-seated human questions.
Exactly. We're looking at the rapture. Specifically, this tension, between trying to predict when it might happen and what the scriptures seem to emphasize much more, which is this call to readiness.
That's the core conflict, isn't it?
Right. So our mission today, using our source material, The Unknowable Hour, Rapture Readiness Over Prediction, is to really try and figure out why. Why is the timing kept hidden? And what does that actually mean for us, like, right now? How we live day to day?
You have a great question.
Yeah, and I think you'll find there's some surprising clarity here and some interesting history, too.
Absolutely. And it's a weighty topic, no doubt. It holds real personal significance for a lot of people. What's so striking, as you said, is how we humans just gravitate towards solving mysteries. We want the answers, the dates, the timeline. Even when the instruction seems, well, pretty clear not to go down that road.
Yeah.
And this source really zeroes in on that specific tension. It presents this kind of paradox. An event described as absolutely certain, something definitely going to happen, but the when of it is declared completely unknowable.
A paradox is a good way to put it. Certain yet uncertain.
Exactly. And that juxtaposition, as we'll get into, has huge implications. Not just for this one event, maybe, but how we think about the future generally. And just to be crystal clear up front, our aim here is simply to present the ideas from the source material, impartially. We want you to understand the message, the different facets of it, without us pushing any specific viewpoint.
Right. It's about understanding the ideas themselves.
Precisely. Informed understanding. That's the goal.
And that impartiality is key for a subject like this. That's what we try to do here on the deep dive, Cut through the noise, get to the core. So, okay. If we're going to tackle this paradox, we need to start at the foundation, right? This idea of absolute unknowability. And the source material, it doesn't really mess around with interpretations here. It goes straight to the top, to what many see as the ultimate authority, the absolute unknowability, a central tenet. So the first thing that just jumps out, the bedrock of this whole discussion, according to our source, is this direct statement from Jesus himself.
The ultimate authority.
Right. It points us to Matthew 24:36. And Jesus says there, quote, "But of that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only."
Wow. I mean, when you hear that, the finality of it, it's really something.
It is.
This isn't like some later commentary or a tricky interpretation. It's primary, direct from Christ. You really can't overstate how significant that is. I mean, think about who's saying it. Jesus, who, throughout the Gospels, shows divine knowledge, does miracles, speaks with this incredible authority. Here, he explicitly says this one piece of information, the timing of his return, is beyond even his own knowledge in his human capacity at that time.
That's a key point in his human capacity.
Yes. And he says the knowledge belongs only to God the Father, exclusively. It's not a hint, it's not subtle, it's an unambiguous, explicit statement designed, it seems, to leave zero doubt.
And the scope. It mentions no man, but then adds not even the angels.
Exactly. That scope is critical. No man knows, extending to the angels of heaven. That means no created being, no prophet, no theologian, no angel. Nobody has this information.
It really shuts down a lot of potential loopholes, doesn't it?
It does.
The source puts it bluntly. He didn't say some special prophet could figure it out or that a secret code could reveal it. He said no man knows.
Precisely. It feels like it's almost preemptively addressing any future attempts to kind of work around it.
Yeah, like trying to find a secret key or a hidden pattern.
Right. If Jesus himself, the one who's returning, says point blank, no man knows, then any attempt to calculate or predict, well, it inherently puts itself forward as knowing something Christ said is unknowable by anyone but the Father. It's trying to get around that direct divine statement.
It's like God intentionally left that part of the plan blank for us.
That's a good way to think about it. It closes off those avenues for human calculation, for speculation, even for claims of special private revelation about the timing. The implications for historical date-setting attempts are just huge.
Absolutely.
If the ultimate authority says it's unknowable to all but the Father, then any effort to figure it out is, maybe even subconsciously, placing human insight above Christ's own words.
Imagine hearing those words directly from him back then. The sheer authority, the finality.
It cuts right through that human desire we all have for certainty, for control, for mapping everything out.
Yeah, we want the schedule.
We do. But this forces a kind of surrender to divine wisdom on this specific point. It says, accept the boundary God has set for our knowledge here.
It's a powerful assertion of God's prerogative. Okay, so if Jesus makes it that clear, is this idea echoed elsewhere? Or is that one statement basically considered enough to settle it? Does the source mention reinforcement?
That's a great question. And yes, our source shows this isn't just a one-off statement. It points out this message of unknowability isn't just about what we don't know. It actually serves a deeper divine purpose, which we'll get into.
Okay, so there's a reason why it's unknowable.
Exactly. But first, yes, this point about unknowability, it gets powerfully reinforced by the Apostle Paul. So you see this consistent message running through the early Christian teachings.
Okay, right. The source mentions Paul, that's 1 Thessalonians 5.2, I think.
That's the one.
Where Paul says, "For yourselves know perfectly that the day of volunteers so cometh as a thief in the night." That imagery, wow, it's so vivid. We all instantly get what a thief in the night means.
No, we do.
It's sudden, unexpected, completely unannounced. You don't get a calendar invite for a burglary, right?
Exactly right. The surprise is the entire point.
Oh.
And that's the core of why that analogy is so theologically potent and enduring. A thief's arrival is, by definition, unforeseen. If the timing of this huge event could be figured out, if you could predict it by reading signs or calculating dates, it would completely undermine the analogy. It wouldn't be like a thief anymore.
It'd be like a scheduled appointment or a delivery you're expecting.
Precisely. It wouldn't work. The analogy would just fall apart.
So Paul's words aren't just like a nice poetic touch. They're echoing and reinforcing what Jesus said.
Yes, deliberately.
Showing this consistent message was there from the start. From Jesus to the key apostles, it wasn't just one person's idea.
That's a crucial takeaway. It shows a unified theological understanding right from the beginning. This unknowability wasn't debated. It was accepted as a foundational truth. Now, thinking about the effect of that thief in the night idea, what does it do to people psychologically or spiritually? Does it just create anxiety? Or maybe a different kind of awareness?
That's interesting. I could see it going both ways. Anxiety, sure, if you feel unprepared.
Right. That potential for suddenness, for being caught off guard, could definitely cause unease, a kind of constant worry. But on the other hand, it could also foster this deep sense of ongoing readiness, of vigilance.
Vigilance, yeah.
Not necessarily out of fear, though. Maybe not primarily fear, maybe more out of a desire to be found living faithfully, you know, whenever that moment comes. It really shapes how you expect the event. It's not a date circled on a calendar anymore. It's this ever-present possibility that affects your choices now.
It really does reframe things. Makes you think about how you approach each day. Like, you know, if you knew a major life-changing opportunity could pop up any day without warning, you'd have to stay adaptable, right? Keep your skills sharp, be ready to pivot, maintain a certain level of preparedness all the time. So this thief idea isn't just a metaphor. It's almost like an operating principle for how to live. Makes it very tangible.
Very tangible. And this consistent theme of unknowability, it's not just about a divine secret. It strongly points toward a deeper divine purpose. It wasn't done arbitrarily. There's a reason behind it, a reason that impacts how we develop spiritually.
So the mystery isn't a bug, it's a feature. It's part of the design.
That's a great way to put it.
It's not just God keeping a secret, but a strategic move, shifting our focus from when to how we live.
Precisely.
Okay, our source seems to pivot right there, moving us from prediction to preparation, which brings us to the next big section.
Okay.
The divine purpose behind unknowability, a call to readiness. All right, so we've got this solid foundation. The timing is absolutely divinely unknowable. Jesus said it, Paul echoed it. So the big question then becomes, why? Why keep it a secret?
It's the logical next step.
And the source gives a really clear answer, pulling from Matthew again, chapter 24, verse 44. Jesus says, "Therefore be ye also ready, for in such an hour as ye think not, the Son of Man cometh."
There it is.
That's the explicit shift, isn't it? It takes all the focus off trying to figure out when and puts it squarely on how we are living our lives right now.
Absolutely. That's the critical pivot. The source says it very plainly. God didn't reveal the date because he wants us to live in constant readiness. It's not just withholding info. It's a strategy, a spiritual teaching method almost.
The teaching method, I like that.
Yeah. It brilliantly redirects that human energy away from, obsessive calculation towards this state of continuous integrated preparation.
And readiness here isn't just like packing your bags the night before a trip you know is coming.
Not at all. It's much deeper. It implies a continuous state of being,
Yeah.
a lifestyle, a mindset, a consistent alignment with what you believe is right and true. Readiness isn't an event you prepare for. It's a character you cultivate.
That's a really powerful distinction. Makes you think about human nature, doesn't it? If you knew the exact date of a really tough exam, let's be honest, most of us would probably cram at the last minute, right?
Probably, despite our best intentions.
Yeah. We'd put off the studying until right before the deadline. But if you knew there could be a surprise inspection of your work or your conduct any day, anytime.
Your whole approach changes.
Exactly. You have to keep things in order all the time.
Yeah.
Your work, your processes, everything has to be consistently good.
That analogy nails it. It shifts from just performing when needed to maintaining constant excellence. If the date were known, our tendency to procrastinate, to focus on the immediate, it would likely lead to a less genuine readiness, maybe more performative.
Like putting on a show at the last minute.
Right. People might live how they want, thinking, oh, I'll get serious in the last few weeks or days before the known date. But an unknown timing, that demands a completely different kind of diligence, a more sincere, integrated preparedness that shapes your daily choices, your character.
It definitely challenges our modern obsession with planning everything, doesn't it? Schedules, forecasts, 5-year plans.
It really does. It asks for something deeper. It asks for trust in the wisdom behind the timing. And it demands focus on the quality of how we live now, ethically, spiritually, rather than fixating on some future predicted date.
So it's not just about waiting for an event. The unknowability itself is shaping us. It's like a tool for spiritual growth.
A divine mechanism for spiritual formation, yes. That's a good way to put it.
And as often happens, history gives us some pretty stark lessons about what happens when people ignore this call to readiness and instead get caught up in chasing predictions.
Indeed. And that brings us to a really critical part of this discussion, the real-world fallout when we deviate from this clear instruction. The lessons are sobering. 3, the perils of prediction. Lessons from history.
Yeah, the source material doesn't pull any punches here. It states it very directly. History proves that every attempt to set a date has ended in failure.
Every single one.
False predictions only bring confusion, disappointment, and even mockery to the Christian faith. That's pretty strong language.
It is strong, but it's also just a direct observation based on centuries of experience. Let's break down those consequences. First, confusion. Think about it. When respected figures or groups make these bold, definitive predictions, and then the date passes, nothing happens. It creates enormous confusion.
For believers, yeah, you'd start questioning things. The interpretation, the person making the claim, maybe even your own faith.
Exactly. And for people outside the faith, it can unfortunately make the faith look, well, speculative.
Yeah.
Irrational even. Instead of being grounded in truth, it looks based on guesswork or wishful thinking. It muddies the waters significantly.
And then the disappointment, that must be just crushing for people personally.
Devastating.
I mean, you hear stories, right? People basing their whole lives, major decisions, finances, family stuff, on a date someone predicted. Selling possessions, quitting jobs, making huge changes.
It's happened countless times throughout history. People make these drastic, irreversible life choices, only to be left completely adrift when the day passes. Shattered hopes, disillusionment, sometimes real financial ruin.
That level of disappointment, it's more than just being wrong. It sounds like deep spiritual and emotional trauma.
It absolutely can be. A sense of betrayal, maybe not by God, but by those who claimed special insight.
Which leads right into the third thing the source mentioned, mockery.
Yes. When these predictions fail, especially publicly, it just invites ridicule, sarcasm, criticism.
And it's not just aimed at the person who made the prediction, is it? It reflects on the whole faith community they represent.
Unfortunately, yes. It impacts credibility. How can a belief system seem credible or attract serious interest when it seems prone to these repeated public failures? It makes faith look foolish to outsiders.
It's such a strange human tendency, though, isn't it? This need to predict, to feel in control, especially about big, unknown things.
It is. And the source seems to imply that drive often comes from a wrong place. Maybe a desire for spiritual status or following a charismatic leader rather than simple, humble obedience.
This psychological pull to know, it just keeps repeating through history.
It's a recurring pattern.
So, thinking about this pattern of failure, What does it do to religious communities long term? Does it make people more skeptical overall? Or does it sometimes make them dig in even harder, just waiting for the next prediction?
It's complex, and you really see both extremes. Some people definitely become disillusioned, they feel misled, spiritually hurt, and they might walk away or become very cynical.
Yeah, I can see that.
Than others. Paradoxically, sometimes groups become even more insular. They might rationalize the failure. Oh, we misunderstood, or the world isn't ready, or our next calculation will be right.
So it can reinforce a cycle of disappointment.
Exactly. A destructive cycle sometimes. While our source doesn't name specific historical figures, the pattern is undeniable. It's a powerful, ongoing lesson in humility and the importance of sticking to the actual instructions.
Okay, so if chasing predictions is clearly the wrong path, potentially harmful, what is the right approach? What are we supposed to do instead if we want to live in that state of readiness?
Right. Sounds like we need to pivot again towards the actual mandate.
Yes, let's get into that. The true mandate for living. 4. The true mandate. Living in readiness. Okay, this part really brings it all together. It gives clear direction. The source hammers this home. Jesus never told us to calculate dates. He told us to watch, pray, and remain faithful.
Simple but profound instruction.
And those are very active words, right? Watch, pray, remain faithful. This isn't passive waiting. It's not just sitting around thinking about the future.
Not at all. It's an active, deliberate, ongoing approach to your entire life. Let's unpack watch. Watching, in this context, isn't about scanning the news for signs or staring at a calendar.
Right, not literal watching the skies.
No. It's about spiritual vigilance, discernment. Being aware of the spiritual climate, yes, but also being aware of your own spiritual state. Your conscience, your moral compass, it's an internal posture of readiness, of attentiveness, living with your spiritual eyes open.
Okay, that makes sense. And pray, that feels like it's about connection.
Exactly. Continuous personal connection. Consistent communication with God, aligning yourself with His will, not just praying about the event, but praying for the strength to be ready, for guidance in daily life now, for spiritual resilience.
So prayer fuels the readiness.
It's the engine, yes.
Okay.
Keeps you centered, seeking wisdom, maintaining that vital connection. It shapes your character through that dialogue.
Yeah, and the last one, remain faithful. That sounds like endurance, steadfastness.
It is. It's about
Yeah.
sticking with it.
Obedience.
Perseverance in your beliefs and practices. Consistently living out your values, your convictions, no matter what's happening around you, no matter how long it takes.
It implies commitment over the long haul, not just a burst of activity before some imagined deadline.
Precisely. A marathon, not a sprint.
So these core actions, watching, praying, remaining faithful, how do they actually look in practice? Like for you, for me, for someone listening, navigating jobs, family, all the pressures of today, what does a watchful life look like?
That's the key question, isn't it? In today's world, a watchful life involves, I think, a real conscious effort to live ethically, morally,
Yeah.
in every part of your life. Being mindful of how you treat people, pursuing justice, compassion, engaging in self-reflection, spiritual growth.
So it's about integrity in action.
Yes,
Mhm.
living with purpose, integrity, a sense of mission every single day. Think about that sentinel, that guardian on duty.
Okay.
Their alertness isn't for one specific scheduled attack. It's for any unexpected event. Their readiness is baked in. It's who they are. It's a state of being, prepared for the expected unexpected.
Prepared for the expected, unexpected. I like that. It's about building those virtues daily.
Exactly. Virtues like honesty, compassion, diligence, they aren't just things you trot out for an inspection. They become part of who you are. That is readiness.
Readiness forged in daily choices, not last-minute panic. That makes sense. And the source goes even further, right? It talks about a broader lifestyle that comes from this understanding of readiness.
It does. It moves to this really potent closing thought from the material. Our job is not to speculate, but to live holy, walk in obedience, and share the gospel while there's still time. That sums up a very concrete, comprehensive mandate.
Okay, let's break that down. Live holy, that phrase. It can sound a bit intimidating or old-fashioned, maybe. What does it mean practically today?
Yeah, it can sound that way. But practically, living holy is much more than just following rules. It's about striving for the highest ethical conduct, moral purity in thought, word, deed, living a life that genuinely reflects your core values and convictions, integrity in all areas, private, public actions.
So it's about wholeness, consistency.
Wholeness, consistency, being set apart, not in an exclusive way, but set apart for embodying higher principles, radiating something positive. It's a continuous process of aligning your character with what you believe is good and right. Becoming, not just performing.
That's a much richer way to think about it. Okay, and walk in obedience. That seems more straightforward, connecting actions to beliefs.
Pretty much. It's the practical application. If you believe certain principles are true, obedience is living them out consistently, day by day, making belief into lived reality.
Got it. And the last part, share the gospel while there's still time. That brings in this sense of urgency.
It does, but notice the focus. It's an urgency driven by purpose, by mission, not by a ticking clock predicting the end.
Yeah, that's a key difference.
Yes, it shifts the focus outwards, towards others, communicating your beliefs, your hope, because the opportunity to do so is finite.
This is really interesting. If the timing is truly unknowable, does that actually create a greater sense of urgency to act now? Compared to, say, waiting for a predicted date? It feels like it should.
I think it absolutely does.
If you don't know when the deadline is, then every moment becomes the time to act, doesn't it?
Precisely. The unknowability fosters a perpetual urgency, but a healthy, purposeful kind. It's not the frantic panic of a countdown timer. It's the steady urgency of someone on a mission who knows time is valuable
Right.
and empowers you to live each day intentionally. Your efforts to live holy, be obedient, share your message, they always matter. They're always relevant. You can't put off today what might need doing, because today might just be it.
It demands living with that eternal perspective right in the immediate moment.
Exactly.
That's such a different feeling than living by a countdown clock. One feels stressful, reactive, the other feels purposeful, proactive, meaningful.
That contrast really brings us to the final synthesis, the main takeaway from our source material. It circles right back to the beginning, but with this deeper understanding.
Yeah, that final exhortation in the source is so clear. Instead of chasing predictions, let's make sure we are ready whenever that trumpet sounds. It really highlights the two paths, doesn't it? Human prediction versus divine readiness.
It draws a very stark contrast. Chasing predictions, which the source argues leads to distraction, confusion, disappointment, versus being ready, which cultivates a purposeful, faithful, engaged life. It reaffirms the certainty of the event, the rapture is certain, but holds it perfectly in tension with a non-negotiable truth that the timing is hidden in the wisdom of God.
It's not a contradiction, it's a divine design. That's what you said earlier.
Exactly. It's not about denying the event's reality, but embracing the wisdom behind the hidden timing, the mystery, the unknowability isn't a mistake. It's designed purposefully to cultivate that constant, authentic, personal readiness we've been exploring.
It really does feel like a master plan, crafted to encourage us to live our best, most faithful, most prepared lives every single day, not just when we think the end is near.
That's the deepest point. The wisdom in not revealing the date is precisely to foster that ongoing readiness. A readiness that's real, sustained, integrated. It discourages procrastination and encourages proactive, faithful living.
It's powerful when you think about it that way.
And it resonates today, doesn't it? In a world obsessed with predicting everything, markets, weather, politics, you name it. What's the power in just embracing the unknowable in certain areas and focusing our energy instead on the present moment's call to action?
Yeah.
It calls for trust, for living fully now, for being prepared not for a specific date, but for life itself with all its twists and turns. It's like training for that marathon. Do you just keep checking the race date? Or do you train diligently every day, building strength, endurance, regardless of when the race is finally announced?
The second one builds real readiness. You're prepared whenever the gun goes off.
Exactly. True, robust, enduring readiness.
Okay, so bringing this all together, what really stands out to me is this huge shift in perspective the source offers. We've basically unpacked this move away from the human need to predict what's inherently unknowable towards the divine call for readiness right now.
That's the core shift.
We started with that absolute foundation, Jesus' own words in Matthew 24:36, backed up by Paul's thief in the night analogy. The timing, unknowable, period.
Yeah, non-negotiable.
Then we explored the why. It's not just a secret, it's a strategy, a call to constant readiness, like Matthew 24:44 says.
Purposeful design.
Then we looked at the dangers of ignoring that the history of failed predictions bringing confusion, disappointment, even mockery. A real cautionary tale.
Definitely.
And finally, we landed on the actual instructions. Watch, pray, remain faithful, live holy, walk in obedience, share the message, all driven by purpose, not by a predicted date. It feels like we've really cut through a lot of the noise to get to that core message, clarity, actionable insight.
I think so. And if you connect this to the bigger picture, the broader human experience,
Yeah.
this message about readiness It isn't just about one future event. It's profoundly about how we choose to live right now, every day.
How we approach life itself.
Exactly. It challenges us, you, me, everyone listening, to really think about what meaningful preparation looks like. Not just for this, but for anything in life.
Yeah.
Which leads to, I think, a pretty provocative question for you to ponder. If the exact timing of so many big life-altering things, career changes, health issues, losses, breakthroughs, is usually hidden from us, how much of our precious energy should we really spend trying to predict the future versus pouring that energy into shaping our present, into being genuinely ready, resilient, faithful for whatever comes next?
Wow. That really broadens it out. Readiness for whatever you come the next.
It encourages you to think about readiness in your own life. Are you living with intention, resilience, prepared for both the known and the unknown?
Powerful stuff. Definitely food for thought. Well, we really hope this deep dive has given you some valuable insights, maybe a shortcut to being better informed on this complex topic, hopefully with enough interesting points to keep you hooked. Thank you so much for joining us on this exploration. We really encourage you to keep digging into these ideas yourself, see how they resonate with you. Until next time, stay curious, stay thoughtful, and yeah, stay ready.